Welcome to Accreditation Talk. Thank you for joining us today. During each episode of Accreditation Talk, we'll be learning about accreditation at Midstate. I'm your host, Beth Ellie, Director of Institutional Effectiveness, Accreditation and Quality, as well as the Higher Learning Commission Accreditation Liaison Officer. Today, we wanted to provide you some important accreditation updates. Midstate is hosting the Grand Slam of program accreditation visits. Midstate is hosting 6 accreditation visits this year for programs. I want to share an update on how these visits have gone so far. We have 2 great guests with us today, Deb Johnson-Shue and Melinda Verdone. Before we get into it, I just wanted to share which programs have hosted accreditation visits so far. First has been nursing. In October, mid-October, they hosted the Accreditation Commission for Nursing and Education. In December, Respiratory Therapy hosted the Commission on Accreditation for Respiratory Care. And just a few weeks ago in February, Medical Assistant hosted the Medical Assisting Education Review Board. Right now, I'd love to, we have Deb Johnson-Shue to speak with us. She's the Associate Dean of Health, and she's here to tell us the results of the nursing site visit. Welcome, Deb.
Hi, Beth. Thanks for having me. First, I'm going to get into how much time it took Midstate's nursing program to prepare for the accreditation visit. So in just 2 words, I would say it took a ton of time. And then I want to just share a little bit about the accreditation process for nursing. So it is a 4-step process, with the first step being the completion of the self-study. And we have to have that self-study done in weeks and even a month or more in advance of the visit. The second step in the process is the site visit, and the site visitors give us only a preliminary recommendation for accreditation. And then the third step is the evaluation review panel, and they review the findings of the site visitor. And the last step is the Board of Commissioners. They are the ones who make the final accreditation decision. So in terms of the amount of time, I would say that the first step of writing that self-study is probably the most time intensive. All of the nursing faculty, full-time nursing faculty, are involved in writing that self-study. We had to address 6 of the standards that we are required to speak to. So the self-study includes a lot of data and a lot of information that really tells the story of Midstate's nursing program. I would say we started working on the self-study report about 2 years before the site visit. And even though I say we started the report 2 years in advance of the visit, you know, we're always collecting data, we're always analyzing. So we could probably say that we are taking time every day to prepare for accreditation.
Wow, wow. Could you please share the results of your site visit?
Sure, happy to. So the site visit is step 2 in that accreditation process. And as you had said, Beth, our visit was in October. The site visitors were with us for 3 days. They met with leadership, they met with students, faculty, community partners. And then finally on that 3rd day, they met with some of the leaders and all of the nursing faculty to share their accreditation recommendation for us. The recommendations can range from the worst case scenario would be denial of accreditation. And then there's accreditation with warning, accreditation with conditions, and those are based on how many standards a school might not be compliant with. And there's also just plain continued accreditation, and that means compliance in all the standards. No additional documentation is needed by the nursing program, and a revisit would not be needed for another 8 years. So that is our goal, and that in fact was the recommendation by our site visitors, that we had continued accreditation. And then after that, tick-tock, several weeks, months go by, and then the evaluation review panel from ACEN reviews that report from the site visitors. They make a recommendation, and then finally, the last step in the process is the ACEN Board of Commissioners, and they make the final decision, which we hope to have in May. So you can see it goes through a lot of hands, a lot of review before that final decision is made. So the process takes about 7 months.
Deb, thank you so much for sharing that great news. We appreciate it, and we're just so happy for all your nursing program.
It's thank you. Proud of the nursing faculty and the students.
Our other guest is Melinda Verdone, Associate Dean of Health, who's also joining us to share the results of the respiratory therapy and medical assistant visits. Melinda, could you share a little bit about the role program directors have in preparing for and hosting these visits?
Absolutely. Program directors are the key personnel involved in the reaccreditation process. They know their programs and the accreditation standards and requirements better than anybody else. They work closely with their accrediting body to ensure that these standards and requirements are being met. Preparing for an accreditation visit requires a lot of work prior to the site visit, as Deb had shared. Program directors compile program data and other information into this report called a self-study. And the report is submitted about 3 to 6 months ahead of time, depending on the program. This gives accreditors time to review the documents prior to their visit and request additional documentation if needed. A second set of documents specific to the site visit itself are provided a week to a month prior to the visit, and these documents are what the site surveyors will focus on during their visit. The program director is responsible for obtaining, organizing, and submitting all of these documents ahead of time. Additionally, they're involved with preparing the various groups of people surveyors will meet with, which include students, graduates, advisory committee members, faculty, staff, and even administration here at Midstate. The actual site visit is a culmination of all the hard work put in over the year prior and a chance to really showcase all the good things happening in our programs.
Yeah, that's a lot of work for those program directors and faculty. Thank you for sharing that. Could you please share a little bit about the results or the preliminary results of the site visits that were hosted by respiratory therapy and medical assistant programs?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Respiratory therapy hosted a visit on December 12th and 13th, and the results from that visit were a recommendation for continued accreditation. There were a few follow-up items that arose from the visit, including getting the medical director more involved with our students and more opportunities for interprofessional learning. Both of these things will be exciting enhancements to our RT program. In terms of medical assistant, we just hosted a site visit on February 9th and 10th, so just a couple of weeks ago. The preliminary results were a recommendation for continued accreditation. We received no citations whatsoever, which is the best possible result for an accreditation visit and very difficult to achieve. The surveyors commended Midstate on the work that the program director has done and the resources provided to our MA students. The lead surveyor also shared that Midstate was one of the top colleges in this regard that she had visited. All of those who are involved with the MA program should be very proud of the work that you do.
Wow, that's such great news. Thank you so much, both Melinda and Deb, for sharing the results of the hard work of all these 3 faculty groups, as well as the very, very positive results. But the work actually doesn't stop there. We actually have 3 more visits coming up, as well as an accreditation report for phlebotomy. So I just wanted to share a little bit what's coming up. The Health Information Management program is hosting a virtual visit in May with the Commission on Accreditation for Health Informatics and Information Management. The Diesel and Heavy Equipment Technician program has applied for initial accreditation with the ASC Education Foundation, and they will be hosting a spring site visit. That site visit will also include a review of auto technician who is reapplying, who is applying for continued accreditation. They are already accredited by the ASC Education Foundation, but those site visits will happen at the same time. And I know both those programs are so busy doing their special things like of photographing their equipment and doing inventory and lots of in-depth work there. And then the phlebotomy technician program is preparing to submit a self-study on March 1st to the National Accrediting Agency for Clinical Laboratory Sciences. So lots and lots of accreditation work going on and continuing to go on at Midstate. I just want to say, please give all these program faculty who have either been involved or are involved in accreditation site visits a little extra love this fall and spring as they're balancing their responsibilities of program accreditation site visits and reports with their teaching loads. They're doing a lot of good things. Just want to thank you, Deb and Melinda, for joining us today for today's accreditation talk, and thank all you viewers. Please keep tuning in to learn more about accreditation at Midstate Technical College.